go. All right. Hey, let's thank. There you go. Let's thank. Ta-da. Go. All right. Hey, let's thank. There you go. Let's thank. Ta-da. Hey, let's thank. There you go. Let's thank. Ta-da.
Good evening, everyone from home. Thanks for logging in tonight. Welcome to another edition of Love Over Lockdown. Tonight is the Wingspan edition. First of all, let me start off by acknowledging that we are broadcasting to you from the lands of the Gadigal and the Bidjigal and the Birrabirragal peoples, and we pay respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We pay respects to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who are present, either watching tonight or present with us here tonight from Bondi, where I'm going to be talking to two amazing young people, Mark and James. Hi, Mark.
Hello.
How are you? How are you, James?
Good.
You can take off your mask now as we kick on. And we're going to learn a bit about you, hear a bit about your stories, and hear a bit about... We're going to hear some of your wisdom too. So we're looking forward to tonight. And please feel free at home to send through questions, and we'll have a chance for some Q&A at the end. But I'm lucky me, I get to ask the first set of questions. But first of all, and the most important question is, James, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
Actually, I woke up super late, so I just had a coffee. And yeah, I haven't had anything else since.
What about you?
I also I slept in a little bit, so it was kind of a breakfast, a late breakfast at around 12. I had a bit of a little microwavable curry.
Nice. Well, that sounds like the breakfast of champions from my end. Yeah. And just in case you're wondering if they were young, sleeping in. Let me tell you guys, enjoy sleeping in while you can, because there comes an age where a sleeping is still something ridiculous like 6 a.m. But enjoy it. Well, how about we start with you, James? Tell us a bit about yourself.
So, 19, finished school last year, took this year for a gap year. Obviously, that didn't quite work out because of COVID. And possibly starting university next year in a course of psychology.
Excellent.
Well, I'm Mark. I'm 25. I'm a member of the Wingspan Project, and I don't know. What do you want to know?
We're pretty open.
Well, I guess tell us a bit about the Wingspan Project and how you came to be a part of it.
Well, I'll start with kind of how I came about it. My mother told me about the Wayside Chapel because she heard about it from decades and decades ago. And I'd recently kind of moved to the Darlinghurst area, and I was looking for something because I'd just kind of gotten out of a long-term rehab. I was in there for about 6 months. And I just kind of, came back to Sydney, and Sydney was all very different because of COVID. This was in February, and I was looking for, a way to integrate back into the world. And, well, these guys were kind of the first thing that came along, and it seemed all right. And I just kind of went in, and, well, here I am now. It's been pretty good since, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, and we'll circle back a bit later to maybe talk about rehab later, if that's all right, and some of the insights you learned about yourself and about life through that process. But James, you got to late high school, and then
yeah. So I had a kind of situation unfolding at home where my guardian, my aunt, need to move back to England for work, and the kind of timeline didn't fit in properly with my HC exams, and so I was kind of left wondering, left questioning about kind of where to move in and all that. Then found support group through youth housing and all that, and they were actually the ones that got me into Wingspan because earlier this year, as I said, I was kind of taking a gap year to kind of work, earn money, and kind of progress to university next year. But obviously, through COVID, that wasn't really possible in terms of work. And so back, I think in May, actually, my youth workers got me in contact with Wingspan. And actually, I think it was only a few days between the first meeting and actually me being part of the group.
And you were telling me earlier that whilst you were studying Year 12, your HSC, it was also the same time that you weren't quite certain about your living situation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I actually ended up moving out of home my second week of my HC exams. So I had my English on the Wednesday and Thursday. I think I had my science on the Friday, mathematics on the Monday, the following week, and then Tuesday I was packing up my entire room in like boxes and all that, and kind of the weekend prior I had caught up like removalists, and then Wednesday I actually moved out of home, and I had 2 more exams the week after that.
I'm amazed you remember that much.
Well,
I don't
mean,
remember my school schedule at all.
It was a pretty, you know.
I didn't remember my school schedule when I was in
So
school.
what, did you just rock up? You just
Yeah,
rocked
it's on
up
a piece of paper, you know, and
it's
I
like,
got it wrong a lot.
I have an exam today. I guess I'm going in.
A mate would tell me like a couple days
Yeah.
before.
You're like, have you studied for this?
Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
we go.
But no. So I was kind of just flip flopping from April of last year all the way to October. Kind of just like one week being like, okay, do I focus on HSC, and then the other week being like, no, I need to focus on housing. Like trying to find a way to kind of where am I going to move into essentially.
Yeah, wow. I couldn't imagine when you get to year 12, the whole focus should be on your studies, and you've got this background worry about where you're going to live and where you're going to stay. And, it creates a whole extra set of pressures on you and your life that most of us would have never experienced. We're solely focused on goofing off during year 12.
Yes, and sometimes including year 12.
That's very good. Mark, now you mentioned you went to rehab.
Yeah. It wasn't the first time. I'd been dealing with issues of addiction since I was about 19. Well, 19 would have been when I first
How did that start?
It started when I was 17, with the first time I drank. But before then, I suppose where it came from is mental health and a bunch of other things at the time. I was dealing with very, very terrible depression, and I'm not one for labels and all that, but depression, anxiety, and all that good stuff. I was seeking treatment for that, and as part of kind of growing up, you start to hit the party scenes, and that just kind of got out of control. And so around 2019, the age of 19, sorry. That's when I first kind of seeked help to treat it. But as a lot of addiction goes, it doesn't end there. It's a battle. It's a constant battle. But this time, I during COVID, really when COVID first kind of came about last year, I hit another rock bottom where my drinking got out of control. And I think that's a pretty common story, with lockdown. And I just said enough's enough, and I put myself into a long-term rehab. I thought that was a pretty good way to spend the COVID lockdown. Is secluded from society, and it was pretty good.
So it was out of Sydney.
Yeah, it was at the base of the Blue Mountains on a property. So while everyone else is isolated, I'm kind of just stuck on this property with a group of 40 boys. It was gnarly. It was intense. I kind of really wanted that like a crucible, to really form me and to really change me and force me to, and it wasn't my first rodeo, but the stars aligned, I suppose. It's the right time and right place. And I've been out since February, and this is the longest I've been clean and sober. I'm over 12 months clean and sober now. So
excellent. So can you think about one or two things that you learnt in your time there that has been really helpful for you? Or a lesson that was reinforced?
Yeah, maybe not particularly this particular place. I've been to plenty of kind of rehabs, and a lot of it is, for me, things that I got taught at the start, right? But there's a difference. They say the longest journey is from the head to the heart. There's a difference between knowing and then kind of putting that thing into action. Say it's alcohol. Stop drinking, put the drink down, right? It's a bit more difficult than that. Oh, yeah. But nowadays, I would say, what do you do? I just don't have the first drink, and I do that every day. I said, what lessons did I learn? I don't know, man. One day at a time. Yeah. Every day is a new battle.
Yeah, you got to learn how to walk before you jump.
Yeah.
Very good. Look, I think we live in a very highly unhealthy and addictive society.
Yeah.
And we're surrounded by so many options that are begging for us to check out. and they're preying upon our mental health at the moment. Back in my day, 1 in 5 they estimated people suffered from a mental illness, and now they say that's 1 in 4, soon to be 1 in 3, particularly amongst your generation. Why do you think that is? And do you think it was the research back in my day was a bit out of date and people weren't being so honest?
I think it's a little bit.
Yeah.
There's more knowledge about it now.
Yeah.
It's more socially acceptable to be open about these
no
sort
more
of
kind
things.
of stoicism around it, really. Kind of because you look back in
That
the
suck
30s,
it up mentality.
Yeah, like the 30s and 40s and all that. Like if someone had mental health problems, people just kind of saw it as like weakness or something like that, or kind of just man up, kind of deal with it. But people are starting to acknowledge it more so as kind of a condition, as kind of a health problem rather than a kind of personality. Yeah.
I mean, they definitely didn't deal with it healthily. I mean, a lot of us don't nowadays, That sort of, you get that stereotypical alcoholic father, right? But I think it's a mix of that and a mix of that. I think there are a lot of differences in society these days. That kids don't play on the street. Well, they are at the moment because of lockdown. In a weird way, people are going out and about again. But yeah, growing up, I didn't know any of the kids on my street. We didn't play together. There is that disconnection.
Yeah, kind of generational differences, really, and kind of expectations. The expectations of my grandparents would be vastly different to those of my actual parents, and kind of the pressure that was then forced upon me, I guess, or kind of placed upon me to kind of be like, why aren't you out and about, being with your friends while you're stuck at home on, your video games and all of that, whereas they don't quite understand that's essentially the same thing. It's just a more developed area.
But how long are video games, even video games, came out in the 80s, but they're kind of a thing, and, is video games, the internet, these are very new, right? Like, compared to the history of the world where we've kind of got that idea, kids go out and play with one another, right? And that's been tried and true for like over 1,000 years. Yeah. And then how recent are these things of television? Well, I suppose television in the 80s and 90s a little bit different to what it is now, where you can watch anything you want, all the time. You've got the internet, social media, all these things are so new. We don't really know how to deal with them properly, or like how we should deal with them properly. It's just kind of like, it's out there, do whatever you want with them. So
you're absolutely right.
I feel like because it's
brilliant.
Instant like that, it kind of sucks you in a lot more. Like, look, going out with your friends and I don't know, playing soccer or something like that. Can you tell I'm not very sports centric?
You were born in Greece.
Well, yeah, but
football is the beautiful game.
That is true. I really did like soccer.
Yeah, you guys made the Olympics. Did we? Didn't you? You should know.
I wasn't paying attention.
Weren't you around in the old Greek?
Oh yeah,
ancient time?
Yeah, we could have made it, but
Oh yeah, you invented the Olympics.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was around.
But to actually meet up with your friends, especially if they're not on the same block as you, right? Like, I have friends that live in Leichhardt, that live South Sydney and all that, right? So you have to catch public transport or maybe drive over there. It takes time versus just sitting at home on your computer, turning the power button on, and just automatically being connected to each other. It takes away a lot of the hassle.
Takes away a lot of the hassle, but it creates a different kind of connection. I think technology is a great enabler of connection, and it's also a terrible disruptor of connections.
Everything should be used in moderation.
Like, I mean, how often do you have a conversation, someone picks up their phone to read a text halfway through and they're not really present to the conversation? Look, in my day, mental health was certainly stigmatised. Do you think it's improved, or hasn't it, for your generation?
I don't know about improved, but it's different.
Yeah,
very
different steps in terms of to improve. I don't think we're quite there yet. I feel like more so it's just been acknowledged, and there's some systems in place, but it's not fully there yet.
I think it's look, I hear a lot of conversation about awareness of of mental illness. Social acceptance of mental illness. And that's all. That's great, but that's just like one tiny part of it. That doesn't solve somebody's mental. I've been admitted into psych wards and stuff for when depression gets to that really bad point, and you can be surrounded by nurses and people and other people that understand and are very understanding and forgiving. That doesn't help the depression go away. I mean, it might a little bit, but that's a whole nother part of it.
It also just makes you a bit more secure in knowing that there's people that can possibly help you, or that are more lenient towards you, but actually kind of defeating it or kind of improving your situation. It doesn't really kind of compare.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps I suppose, when you want to make that first step to actually go and find help, to admit, hey man, this isn't quite right.
Yeah.
You maybe talk to a friend or talk to your parents, and you go on from there. But that's just the start of the journey.
Great. So tell us about Wingspan.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, look, Wingspan is kind of it's a program designed for the youth. I just got in. I'm 25. I got in when I'm 24, so I'm still youth.
Still hip and trending.
Yeah, exactly. But it's kind of designed to get us kids kind of job ready, to get us socialized, to learn all these things that we might not be that good at. And I suppose especially at the moment, because of lockdown, a lot of us are out of whack with all these things. There's no, definitely in my high school, there's no class on how do you handle yourself at work. How do you and for a lot of people, depending on their upbringing, they might not have had these things taught to them or modelled for them, or
Yeah, I think you're right. The education system has severe limitations, particularly when it comes to life skills, job skills, practical life. How to cope.
I feel like that's. I feel like Wingspan's kind of a school 2.0 in a very minor sense, that it teaches you skills for life rather than kind of educational skills.
Yeah.
So,
what have you learnt in the Wingspan? What are the sorts of...
Okay, so me personally, I've never had trouble holding a job or getting a job in the first place. So the first kind of month or two that we were doing, right, which was kind of teaching you how to dress properly and kind of how to present yourself, right, and all of that. It was more so kind of refreshing my memory and kind of just reinforcing that. But I can tell that for a lot of people out there, it would be a very good kind of point of kind of teaching them, because as Mark said, they may not have had that upbringing. And
man, you got a kid, or you're all of a sudden you're an adult now.
Yeah,
you got to make it on your own. All right, I got to get a job. Everyone keeps telling me I got to get a job. Where the hell do you start there, man? Sure, I can apply for jobs here and there, right? But then, I don't know what to do with all that. I don't know how to handle myself. These guys say I have qualifications. I dropped out of school. I don't know this sort of. And then, that's what the Wingspan Project is.
Like the leap between kid and adult is just such a massive leap that I feel like Wingspan kind of shortens it a little bit by giving you the necessary kind of teachings that you kind of need to know in order to better yourself and better your chances.
Yeah, I mean, before lockdown, we were doing a whole bunch of courses, all the sorts of things like, RSA, RCG, all these food handling and all that stuff, It's a great sort of...
We're going to do first aid and barista as well, but unfortunately that got postponed and then postponed.
It's difficult to do first aid over Zoom, It doesn't translate very well.
The Wayside has quite a unique approach where we say we don't judge, we break down the barriers of all through loving and accepting people where they're at. Have you experienced that in the Wingspan?
Well,
with the other young people?
So I came in actually 2 or 3 weeks after the course started. So
Yeah, he was the new guy. We
the
we
new guy.
bullied the hell out of him.
Yeah, like can you believe these guys? Like you talk about love and acceptance, like come on. But no, like in all honesty, I think we had a class of 10 or 12.
Yeah, it's an intimate little group.
And you know, I just like slid in like the like we kind of knew each other. Like there was kind of no barrier, there was no cliques or anything like that. It was kind of everybody's there for a reason. There may be different reasons, like compared to people. Like people might have different reasons for being there, right? But it all comes to the same point of you are here for a reason, no matter what it is. Right? You need help with something, we will accept you for it.
Yeah.
I think when you get to that, we kind of realize we're all kind of doing it tough. That's why we're here, right? We're not going to kick each other, you know.
You're not going to crab bucket essentially.
Look, Lisa Hogan has asked a great question there, which is from home: is what advice or wisdom would you share with kids growing up now? Maybe we'll start with you, mate. Here you go.
Read books, man.
Read books.
Read books. That's something we don't really do anymore, you know.
Why would you say that? I mean, I love reading.
It teaches you how to think. You know, it teaches you how to think, and if you can think, then it doesn't matter where you come from. You know, if you anyone can go and read books. The difference between an intelligent person, I'm sure there's probably lots of crap, but yeah, man, you learn how to think, then you learn how to talk, and then that's power, you know.
Yeah. Look, there are many pathways to wisdom, and one is through knowledge. But you know, knowledge needs to meet experience as well. And you guys certainly have a lot of life experience, and that's where your kind of wisdom comes from as well. So, James,
honestly,
yeah,
I feel like the moment I kind of grew up and had a kind of out of body experience moment was kind of looking back at everyone, so like teachers, family, and all that, and kind of not really paying attention to them as much as I should have, right? Or kind of neglecting the advice that they gave me, right? So I remember, I think it was my year 9 teacher for mathematics. He worked our asses off every single class. Like I remember coming out of class and my hand would be sore from just writing down questions, right? He'd make us do like 30 questions, each of them having like 3 sub questions and all that. He would make you, bust your balls off. But at the end of the year, I kind of had an out-of-body experience, and I was like, no, he was like training us and teaching us to actually kind of be kind of
disciplined. Yeah,
like disciplined and kind of have a set pattern of doing things. Right? Like he taught us a specific way of answering questions and kind of saying them up properly and all that to this day I have not broken, because it's just so ingrained in my mind, and kind of that repetition every single time is just something that might go over a lot of people's heads, and it's only once you grow up you kind of realize, oh no, this is actually beneficial for me.
There's a method to the madness.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of things you can say to kids, but they're not going to listen.
I know, I've got teenagers myself.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun there. Now, James, you mentioned that during your year 12 there was a lot of housing instability.
Yeah.
You want to tell us a bit about how you sought support and what you think should be changed, or what should be done different or better for people in your situation?
This could be the fact that I wasn't looking in the right place. I was completely looking the opposite direction of where I should have been looking. But
I mean, you're only in year 12. How are you supposed to know what's true?
But there's not a lot of signposting. There's not like a lot of signposting of like if you're looking for housing, or if you're having issues with kind of having to move and all that and being kicked out of home, right? There's not kind of a go-to place because it's just not advertised as much as I guess. And so I think it was April of 2020, so last year, I kind of had this oh shit moment of being, I have to move out essentially in October. And that's going to be mid-HC and I'm going to be freaking out and all that, right? And so again, I didn't know where to look, so I went to kind of the only person I thought to go to, which was my school counsellor. Luckily, thank God, she had some good connections and kind of knew what to do because she was, I think, a psychologist as well. So she kind of had some people that she could call and kind of ask questions for, right? And so she got in touch with Mission Australia. I got assigned a caseworker there. They kind of talked me through a process and tried to get me into different kind of optional housing. I got into a youth housing at Bondi Junction. Got assigned a caseworker there, and they kind of talked to me. We kind of inspected the property, and then I moved in. So it was kind of, the only kind of critique I have is just not enough representation or kind of advertising of where do you go when this happens.
I think you mentioned to me that the first teacher you asked
Oh
you...
yeah, so my careers advisor was just like, have you looked on Gumtree or like eBay for like housemates? Yeah,
they sell people there.
I didn't know they sold people there on
Yeah.
eBay or Gumtree. Oh dear. Yeah.
Because you're a kid, man. You don't know.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you're 18, 20. You're still a kid. You never moved out.
Home is home. It's that place. Whether it's good or bad, it's your place.
Yeah,
and then all of a
exactly.
sudden it falls apart. And you.
So what do? You ask an adult.
So our
That's
schools
what you
need
do
better
with the
training. Our
kid.
teachers who
I
are
mean,
already doing a great job.
Look,
need
I
some
was
support.
already kind of fortunate in having a deadline. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people it's just kind of swept under the rug, or the rug is swept under their feet, right? But it's
What's that fortunate?
well,
I had a deadline. You're gonna get kicked out.
Exactly. Fortunate in an unfortunate situation, right?
Yeah.
But it's, I managed it, I guess.
Yeah, it made you,
Yeah, quick on your feet. Kind of, I work through stress and kind of pressure, and like Mark said, I think cauldron of fire.
Well, it's good. Now, Mark, you mentioned you had a moment, and there's a question from Natalie Smith from home. G'day, Nat, who asked, did you have what was your turning point on seeking help? Or
I'm going to assume that's regarding perhaps addiction. Maybe it's kind of the same in everything.
Yeah.
When you can't do it on your own.
Yeah.
When you try on your own.
There's a lot of people pretending out there that they're doing all right and making it on their own.
Yeah. Well, it's part of the secret. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing, especially when you're young.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
I still don't know what I want to
You
do.
just
when I
kind
grow
of
up.
wing it. But when you try to do something, you realise, hey, this is a real problem, whether it be homelessness or addiction or anything. I got to do this thing, and then you, with all your ego, just gets shattered because it's like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
That's when you got to reach out to an adult, which sometimes adults aren't there. So you kind of look for some sort of authority figure, which whether it be a charity or a hospital or whatever.
Kind of grasping at anything that's in front of you, really.
Yeah, somebody help.
So for those of us oldies who are listening in there, what sorts of tell us about the people that have made a difference in your life, and can we be those kinds of people?
Well, for me personally, I feel like there's just not enough people that listen as a kind of first step. There's a lot of people that will just give you advice straight off the bat without kind of listening to your problems. Like, I know for a fact I have a bunch of friends that I'd go to for like help, knowing full well that they won't kind of listen and kind of help me in the sense that I needed to be helped. They'll just kind of be like, oh, have you tried exercising? Have you tried going to the gym? Have you tried doing this? Keeping yourself occupied? And I was like, I've already tried this, right? I'm kind of bereft of exhaustion, bereft of options and all that, right? So kind of, can we have like at least a conversation to kind of make me feel better? So I feel like a lot of people, whether you're an oldie or you're young, you kind of just need to take a step back and kind of listen first, rather than
It's a male thing as well. Like, we want to fix.
Yeah.
As you're giving me a problem here,
Yeah.
let me try and fix it. A lot of the time, you got to say, hey, don't try and solve it.
Yeah.
Well, you probably can't.
Yeah.
Just listen. I find that that's part of the difficulty is, if you're there talking to another man, and they can't solve the problem, they don't know what the hell to do. They're
Yeah,
frightened.
like they just kind of...
They're just hearing problem.
They kind of wash their hands of the situation. They're just like
I think
there's
our
nothing I can
culture
do.
trains us either to listen to speak
Yeah,
or to listen to fix.
yeah,
And both of those impulses
yeah.
are impulses that aren't about you. It's about me trying to get some control and order into my world because I'm hearing a problem and I feel vulnerable.
Yeah.
And if I can offer you a pat solution or a pat answer or a platitude, then I feel, maybe I can feel better in this space. Where actually, exactly like you said, is that suggestion or that advice it's not really going to hit the mark.
And there's a difference between kind of working through the problem versus kind of just giving out a flat out statement and being like, do this, do that, right? Try this. And then when you say that hasn't worked for me, they're just like, well, nothing we can do. So
it's funny, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been on kind of like both sides of it, and it's, you don't think about it, you know. It's like, I've had partners who they're like, stop trying to fix it, you know. I don't even register that's what I'm doing. It's like, you're giving me a problem. That's how my brain is naturally, you know. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Because I feel like, well, we're trying to fix it together. No, just shut up and listen.
I feel like in our society as well, it's kind of a issue where we're just so regimental in kind of, like, look at the hospitality industry, for example, right? I worked at McDonald's. I'm still working there, actually. They managed to call me back last week for the first shift in 6 months.
Great.
And literally, if you're not actively doing something all the time, you get reprimanded for it. So, like, if you have nothing to do, sweep and mop the floors. If you've already done that, sweep and mop again until you have something else to do, right? So it's kind of always have to do something to keep yourself preoccupied. And I feel like that's also been quite hard during lockdown, kind of switching from that mindset to a mindset of, I've got nothing to do. I can't really go outside and, you know, socialize or go to work or anything like that. And so it plays a part into mental health and kind of the response people might give you of, you know, you have to always be doing something.
It'll be a person doing, not a person being.
Yeah, we're human beings, not human doings, but we can really make that mistake. So tell us about the Wingspan. What is it about the people who, the team there that, what do they do that's different? And what do they do that makes a difference in your life?
They're just people, really. Like that's the kind of biggest point is that they're just kind of down to earth.
Yeah.
They don't kind of. There's no hierarchy. There's no kind of roles. It's just people talking with people. It's like, you know, even at school you have to call someone by their last name and kind of call them sir or miss or anything like that. So even to that kind of extent, it's kind of you're lesser than them in a certain mindset, right? But with Wingspan, you know, Susie and Teresa, who are fantastic people, right? They just kind of walk us through when we were having one-to-one. You know, classes were great. They were funny. You know, they were kind of insightful and all that. So it's more so kind of that kind of more one-on-one connection.
Great.
They're not. You're not trying to reach a goal. That kind of seems like that's what the thing is. Not, and I don't mean that in a self-defeating way.
Yeah.
Like, you know, with some, I suppose, any regular class, we're trying to reach this point where we pass, right? But here it's kind of that I'm not trying to drag you along to do anything, but the things are on offer here, right? You can go at your own pace. You don't have to, you know. You're here if you want it. It's there if you want it.
Yeah.
Kind of like in the same way of like I'm trying to solve your problem. No one's trying to fix anything. We're just trying to offer you things.
Yeah. Like the only goal is your own self-improvement, and that goal, the goalposts for that are set.
Yeah, everyone's at different levels.
Exactly.
You know?
Like
everyone's after different things.
you can either really try, or you can take a more laid-back approach and take your time with it. There's no kind of you know, assignment or kind of exam that you need to pass or anything like that. It's kind of whatever you feel comfortable with.
Great. Now, there's a great question here from Fiona Atkinson. She asks, who or what inspires you?
It's different every year. You know, like if you'd asked me 5 years ago, it would be very different to what it is now. I can't give you like a single figure. It's, I suppose, people I've met throughout my life, and that's kind of the weird. It's not weird, you know. It's not characters in movies. It's not characters in books. You know, I mean, surely, of course, that was it when I was growing up. It was, you know, like Obi-Wan Kenobi and that sort of crap. But now I'm older.
I wouldn't. No, I think Obi-Wan Kenobi's pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
he was a wise,
he's a pretty
mentor
good
guy.
Yeah, he's a pretty good role model.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. No. But yeah, people I've met throughout my life who were very resilient, or, you know, been through the ringer. Not just been through the ringer. You know, everyone's got a slice of something different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Jesus.
Wow.
Mohammed, whoever you want.
Right.
Man. There's heaps of role
you
models.
feel like you're personally kind of connected with, really.
It's two people that started amazing movements there.
Yeah.
got some humble aspirations there, brother.
Yeah, but for me, I remember my therapist actually asked me this, like, you know, she set a goal of who's your kind of inspirational role model, and after a week, I was like, I have no clue what the hell. Like, I tried looking at TV stars, at my own family, at my
Stars or the characters?
like stars themselves, because like
They're not good people.
well, I mean,
They're
like
just actors.
you see people give to charity.
They
and
play
all that.
pretend for a living.
That's true.
Not an actor.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem, man. Hey, you look at kids these days. Who do we, you know, look at as role models in our society? Celebrities and stuff, man.
Yeah.
They're celebrities. They're not role models.
Yeah.
But we get them mixed up. They're not people to.
Yeah,
Musicians.
look, I hate to
and stuff.
sound like the old guy here, but, you know, you used to perhaps make it onto TV because you'd done something or
Yeah.
achieved something in your life, whereas
Yeah.
now we have celebrities who are their achievement is being a celebrity.
Yeah, that's.
You know, and when people grow up and idolise fame and idolise celebrity, we really are missing out on character
And so
values.
Yeah, and so after that kind of week, I was really stumped because I had to call back my therapist and be like, I didn't know like anyone, right? And so in the biggest kind of English advanced move that I could pull, and my teacher would be very proud of this, I called up my therapist and I was like, I figured out, you know, what my role model is. And she's like, oh, okay, who is it? And I was like, my future self, the person that I want to see to become. And she's just like, that's actually like, you know, that's quite deep and meaningful. And I was like, okay, I just pulled that out of my ass. But thank you.
Very good.
Yeah.
I've thought about that myself as well. Maybe not as much of a role model, but kind of when I make decisions in life, I try to imagine my future self, and it's like, what would they think? What would old person Mark think about what I'm doing right now? You know,
because I can definitely tell you, you know, scrolling back through some text messages and like actions that young James took, I'm just like, oh, he's such an idiot.
Well, I think it's helpful to sit back and ask the question, you know, if I was at the end of my life, you know, what would really be important?
Yeah, kind of like legacy.
Yeah. Hey, there's a great question come from Laura here, and we've only got a few minutes left. If you could be Prime Minister for a day, Mark, who would James, and could implement one change for Australia, what would it be?
That's a can of worms I don't want to touch.
Yeah.
I'm not qualified to be the Prime Minister.
No, absolutely.
Everyone acts on Twitter like they are.
Yeah.
Qualified to be the Prime Minister.
I mean, look, like, you know, the current situation's not great, but am I qualified for it? No, absolutely not.
I would go to war with New Zealand. I think that's
Oh, here's a great question coming from Kylie Kwong. Mark and James, what or when do you feel connected, and what or when makes you feel disconnected?
That's interesting. Disconnected. When I feel rejected by other people, you know, but in more of a sense of a shame when you know you. I mean, it's a very natural thing, I suppose, when you don't fit in with the status quo. When you've done something that's crossed a social boundary, and then you kind of get that shunning as that disconnection, and you know that serves its natural kind of purpose. For, you know, at one extent, we can't do certain things in society. We've got to be taught through shame that, this is how you act, right? But then to the other extent, that's when you just kind of, that I'm bad on the inside. When I feel connected, I don't know.
That's such a hard, feeling disconnected is so easy to kind of, pinpoint.
Got so much more experience with that.
Exactly. But feeling connected is kind of a very niche thing. I know for myself, it's only been when I've had genuine connections with people. I have friends, right, that I talk to.
Right, stop bragging.
Have you found that connection in Wayside and Wingspan?
Yeah, Mark's a perfect example. We've even been working together and all that, right? And kind of, get along, I don't hate his guts, but, But yeah, no, definitely, everybody in Wayside and Wingspan have been fantastic.
It's hard at the moment because, we have to follow lockdown.
Yeah.
And so everything's kind of
just slowed down.
Yeah, or, on Zoom and all that. But definitely human connection in real life.
Yeah.
I don't mean, physical or anything. Just, I suppose when you care about somebody or somebody cares about you in the sense that you could tell someone bad news and, they would feel like a little bad, I didn't get that job, I didn't get that promotion, and they feel that for you, that's connection, when you succeed and they, go, hey man, good for you,
So it's about being in a community that loves you, that accepts you,
kind of very empathetic.
Holds your interests at heart, and has expectations of you as well. Yeah.
Well, when you're known, really known by people, not in that sort of sense of, hey, have you heard of that Mark guy?
I heard he's pretty cool dude.
Yeah.
Hey, there's another great question. It'll probably be the last one for the night. What's one thing you wish you'd been told or been asked so that you, when you were younger, that could have made a difference?
Is this us time traveling and being
you're time traveling back to young Mark and young James.
Yeah, you've got a
I can't go that far because I'm too old to remember.
Yeah. It's wait, you must know.
Your future self says to your younger self, what would you say?
Oh,
a lot.
Yeah,
But I probably wouldn't.
I'd have to write a manuscript and hand it over.
No one knows what the hell they're doing.
Yeah. That and kind of just really that and kind of adhere to the saying of prepare for the worst, hope for the best.
Take every opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not every 80% of success is just showing up.
Yeah.
You don't have to know beforehand, Mark. You don't have to be good at something to attempt or to do it. If you're not good at art, you don't. I don't know. There's this weird thing with talent, right? You tell kids, hey, this guy's got a talent for painting or whatever, and they think, oh, well, I'll go into a career in that. You say, oh, why don't you become an artist? Oh, I'm not talented at it. Sure, there are people who are talented, but get rid of that bullshit. If you go to art classes, if you read books on art, if you do all the 80% of that is just showing up, and that's what I mean by showing up.
Yeah, and you have to have some form of interest.
You start to get, well, then you're exactly.
Well, you can't.
I think you're right.
You can't really force yourself on.
Well, talent, passion,
talent helps.
They're
but it's
a
not
little
everything.
bit required, but it's effort and application that really makes the difference. And I can see you guys are working hard and have a heap of talent, a heap of passion. It's been wonderful. This conversation's been amazing. There's a final comment that says, I missed it. It's saying, you guys, Wingspan sounds great. You guys are amazing. How about talking to children in years 6 and 7? You guys are smart and articulate, and thank you. I've loved what you've said about reading. That's another comment. But we've really benefited from your wisdom. I think there's a lot of hope for the future. Listening and talking to you guys, hearing your wisdom, and there's a lot to learn, a lot of lessons to take away from it. And I just want to thank you for your time tonight. And what you got a final thought for us all?
I do have a quote that I'd like to spout. Again, me showing my youth it is from a video game, but actually, where is it now? It's, of course, I've never done that. This is not a time for heroes. Look instead to those battered souls who have known fear and failure in ample portion. but rise again to reclaim a glimmer of hope.
Wow.
How do I follow that up?
With an Obi-Wan Kenobi quote.
Yeah,
or something.
exactly. These aren't the words you're looking for.
I suppose I'd say the only difference between my situation or people like young people like me and in these sort of situations, and the main difference between me and that stereotypical idea of a homeless person, that you see outside of King's Cross Station and all that, is time.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. Well, not the only difference. That's the main difference is time. I could be like that very easily. If things go out of control, that could be my destiny. But you don't look at a young person, who's kind of wearing not bad old clothes. You don't see that. But then when you see them when they're older, people go, oh, okay. No hope, that sort of bullshit.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I've, I know a lot of people, and I don't know anyone who, would say when I would grow up, I want to be sleeping rough.
No.
It's that's such wisdom. Thank you both. It's been amazing tonight. We often say, I'm just one beggar helping another beggar find bread. This is not about having all the answers, having all the wisdom. I think we've got chips over here. It's about being with each other and listening to each other and learning from each other and moving forward together. So thank you. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you for
thank you to the Wingspan. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in tonight. And hope you have a great night and see you next week.